Hello and welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We're bringing you Transformers news from around the world and across Australia. This is episode 248. We're recording live on Friday, the 15th of October, 2021. This episode we will be talking about Victory Saber getting funded and then some. The MPG Masterpiece line is officially announced and already stirring up a little bit of controversy. And we might get to talk about some movie news if Brad fights hard enough. All that and more is coming up in this week's episode after this. Hello and welcome. It's been a few weeks. We've been away. A few things have happened, and we're back. We're back, coming to you live. We're broadcasting live in TCCA. We're live on YouTube, and I think we're also live on the podcast's Facebook page. Not that we use that very much, but we're up and running. Joining me tonight, I'm Jason, by the way, I'm in Sydney, and joining me from an undisclosed location in country Victoria, we have our erstwhile producer of the podcast, Brad Mull. How are you doing, sir? Actually, I'm not sure that erstwhile is actually the correct word to use there. I think that means former. Sorry. Our very much appreciated producer of the podcast, Brad. Brad, I must say, Brad, you're looking really well there. However, I do also want to point out that if people are watching the video of this, it's very much light and dark. I'm actually sitting on the Autobot side of the screen with an orange shirt, and Brad is basically sitting in the dark on the Decepticon side of the screen.
Die, boy. Yes. Darkness. I hope the power stays on. There's some real severe storms on their way from Melbourne.
We wouldn't be able to tell if it did or it didn't. It's so dark.
Just goes black.
Yeah, so you're having some severe weather. I had some severe weather in Sydney here yesterday, but there was a big thunderstorm that went through, and then 10 minutes later it was sunny again. And then all day today, yeah, it sounds like Melbourne. All day today, it's been prediction for scattered thunderstorms. No, sunny and not even a drop of rain in the sky. So anyway, that's that's that. I think we're done with the weather check-in. Let's move on to what else has been happening this week. I got out of lockdown. I got out of lockdown. I've managed to get a haircut, so this is the neatest and tidiest that I've looked in months. You're looking quite well presented there as well. You look like you're. You said you didn't work today. Like your day off seems to have agreed with you.
Yes and no. I was strapped to a table and fed into a giant robot orifice MRI machine, but.
Right. Well, we might talk about that one a little bit more later. But yes,
that's TCCA After Dark for those playing at home.
Yes, more on that later. So we've been tracking the nationwide lockdowns as a fixture of our intro for the last few months, and. It seems like they're coming to an end. New South Wales is out of lockdown. Victoria is very close to getting out of lockdown because you guys are meeting your vaccination targets as well. And wait a minute, I've just been told it's all screwed up. Tasmania is going into lockdown. So the apparent streak of having a lockdown-free country has been ruined. And I'm also hearing that it might be New South Wales' fault for Tasmania. Yes.
Luckily, we don't have to talk about it unless Ash is on. So
that's true. That's true. I'm just going to add a live comment from the wonderful Con Costarulu in the Facebook chat. It's given us a yeah. Thank you, Con. Much appreciated. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to the show, man.
Yes, I think that might actually be Con's first time having a comment appear on the show. I'm not sure. I think we may have had something from him a few weeks ago. It was probably the same thing, but that's fine.
Open with a bang.
So yes, as far as notable things this week, that's kind of about it. Like there's been some lockdown changes. I got a haircut, and that's about it. Did you have anything that you wanted to add? You know what else has happened? We've had confirmation that Oz Comic Con is returning to Sydney this December. It'll be December. I think it's a 2-day event as well. It'll be December 4th and 5th, I think. And all things being equal, I can confirm TCCA will be there at Oz Comic Con in Sydney. We had a lovely time there in March earlier this year, and looking forward to doing it again. I'll crank out the Unicron. We'll have Unicron set up on the stand again. We'll bring some of the latest figures along. It'll be great fun.
Yeah, I happened to see an email yesterday that Adelaide's pushing for Supernova in December as well. So some of the cons are starting to come back in, which is great. Hopefully, no more COVID jokes after tonight for us anyway in lockdown.
Oh, look, I will just point out that we had a hate plague joke on the table at Oz Comic Con, but that was pretty good. I think like in-person events and things like Supernova and Oz Comic Con, they're great for getting people out of a lockdown funk and out and meet people again, and especially people who do some cosplay. A lot of cosplayers have had very little to do while working from home, or just being stuck at home in lockdown, and getting out, getting in front of people again, and even with requirements for social distancing and stuff like that, which we had in place at Supernova and Oz Comic Con in Sydney. Even with those requirements in place, you can still have a really good time. You can still have it's a lovely chance to get out there and meet some people. And especially this year, in going out and doing those 2 conventions in Sydney, we've met so many new people. In years gone by, we thought we sort of had a bit of a saturation on the number of people that we could get into the Facebook group, because we were going to these conventions and we weren't getting any new people. We were paying a lot of money for people that we already knew to come and talk to us, and we love talking to people that we already know, but we do want to recruit more people to come and join the group. Yes, more. And so it was really heartening to find a lot of new people coming to join us after those events, and hopefully we can do it again in December. Maybe people will be more willing to get out and have a good time at those events then. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
And as someone that's dabbled into cosplay, yes, you've had the last 2 years without being able to go to an event to just do those added bonuses to a costume. I can guarantee there's still people going to be rushing that 12th hour to get shit done.
So, Brad, on this subject of you've had the last 2 years to perfect your costume and fix up all the things that were wrong with it.
Uh-oh.
How much work have you done on your costume?
I got it mounted.
That's true. Yeah, Brad has retired the Optimus Prime costume, which has very famously graced the TCCA Facebook page in years gone by. I reckon you should see maybe repost some photos of that and see how we go. But that was a lot of fun.
Some photos come up last week for Border Dimensions, which is a local convention up here that we've done the last few years too, and there was some photos that come up of Prime 1 year, Prime 2nd year, and a young fella in his Metroplex suit, and it's good stuff.
Well, hopefully the good folks at Border Dimensions are doing okay through lockdown, and hopefully we'll hear from them again on the flip side.
Yeah, yep.
2022,
year of progress.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, let's get going. We've got a bit of Transformers news to talk about tonight. It is fairly late into the evening on Friday night, so we're gonna talk about some Transformers. I think our last episode was a couple of weeks ago, and we did cover off the October releases overseas. And so there's not really too much to talk about for international releases, but there is a little bit to discuss for local releases, because at long last, the very, very sought-after Netflix Wave 3 Voyagers are starting to hit Australian store shelves. You can see the photo here where you can see Netflix Optimus Primal, kind of less in demand because a lot of people already have Optimus Primal, but sitting at the back there, the back of the shelf in Kmart, are 2 very, very highly desirable Sparkless Seekers. And the Sparkless Seeker is a Tetrajet mold, so it's from the Siege series, and It represents the dead bots on in the Sea of Rust, or the Sea of Rust, I think it was, in the Netflix series, where they're dead but still functioning and still able to cause problems for our heroes. And being a Tetrajet, Seeker completionists are very much after them. So if you do happen to go to a Kmart, do check that shelf and see whether or not you can pick yourself up a Sparkler Seeker or an Optimus Primal. The Netflix Optimus Primal does have a slightly more screen accurate deco to him. So if you are wanting to collect screen accurate, as in figures as they appeared in the Netflix series, you could do a lot worse than picking up these two. Being Kmart Voyager releases, they are $50 each, and that is stunningly good value. It remains the best price on the planet for these figures, because that's the standard Voyager price. But these guys come with 1 or 2 Micromasters or Battlemasters packed into the box with them, which means that their recommended retail price should actually be somewhere between $65 and $70. But Kmart keeping the price down on these at $50 is very, very much appreciated, and makes them really good deals. And if you like Micromasters and Battlemasters, then there's some cool designs in these boxes to pick up. And they have some. In fact, I've got a couple of them. I've got a couple of them on the desk in front of me here, and they have some cool blast effects and stuff that come in the box with them as well.
Yep, there's some great playability of the figures. So.
It does. I find the Battlemasters kind of make for some really unwieldy looking weapons, but the blast effects are pretty fun.
Yeah, especially if you're flying bots, your Seekers and that. So
it's true. On the shelf in this photo, you can also see a Studio Series 86 Scourge that is also related to the sightings that have been popping up around the country this week. The next wave of Studio Series 86 Voyagers is here, and that is the slight repaint and modification to Scourge to turn him into a generic sweep. So they've changed this color. They've changed his color scheme to make him a little bit more accurate to the on-screen representation of the sweeps, which is Scourge's army. And they've swapped his hands around. So there's one of Scourge's hands was sort of open in a pose, and the other one was closed in a fist. So they've swapped them around. So the other one was open and closed. So if you're one of the people who likes to army build figures like Insecticons and Scourge and his army, then that will appeal to you a lot. There was a lot of suspicion earlier in the year when Studio Series 86 Scourge first came out that there would be a later release of sweeps to army build. A lot of people stocked up on Scourge anyway, but now you've got options as well. And the reason I bring this up is because it's actually quite rare at this point to see a Scourge sitting on store shelves. Depending on what you're into for your movie shelf, go out and have at it. Sweep also comes with Wreck-Gar. Now, when I say comes with, I mean they're packed into the same box. I believe it's 2-to-1 sweep, two sweeps to 1 Wreck-Gar, and that is actually the first retail sighting of Wreck-Gar in Australia. You've been able to get him from specialty stores and online retailers and the like, but he's turned up in Kmart stores. So Sweep and Wreck-Gar have turned up in Kmart stores. And we just saw this afternoon a sighting from Victoria of the deluxe Gnaw Sharktacon as well. So these guys are finally starting to hit retail. People have been looking for them since August, August or September, and so it's really good to finally see them coming out here.
I've seen a few of these on the shelf today. I thought that was Blur. Blur's still bench warming something shocking here. Shelf warming. For the 86
the Studio Series 86 Blur, yes. Yeah, a lot of the deluxes, I think a lot of stores may have overstocked on the deluxes for the 86 line. But it depends which store you go to. Like some stores have a lot of Blurs, some have a lot of Jazz. It's a bit variable,
Yeah.
All right, let's
try different stores. If you're lucky enough to have a couple of different stores, try them all. Don't just go to the one.
Yeah, definitely don't stick to the one store. Let's also talk about Victory Saber, the HasLab crowdfunding project that this week finished its crowdfunding campaign. As you can see from the photograph on screen, Victory Saber was funded and was fully funded. The original goal for Victory Saber was, I think, 11,000. Yeah, I think it was 11,000 figures. We've checked in a couple of times with the figure during the podcast, and they've announced tiers as we went. So for general production of the figure, I think it was 11,000 backers, and the first unlocked goal was the cannon and the blast effects, and that came at, I think, 13,000 figures. The blue transparent stand that you can see with the Victory Autobot logo on it, you can see in the top photo there, that came at, I think, 17,000 or so. And the final tier, which was announced very late in the game, was a shield, which was shown in some of the promotional images, and you can see the shield at the bottom there, and 2 Micromasters, and they're just the same Micromasters that we've seen in the last couple of years. But it does very neatly answer the criticism of why additional characters are not being offered as tier unlocks. So if you were criticizing Hasbro for that, well, there you go. You got 2 new characters, even if they are just Micromasters. These Micromasters do appear to have been... They do appear to have a bit more paint applied to them than the regular Micromasters, so hopefully that's sort of an indication of their status being a little bit special. They are Holly and Fire.
Of course they are.
Yeah, guess which one's Holly and which one's Fire.
Yeah.
So the other thing that amuses me here is that even in Hasbro's official photography, they can't get the ladder straight on the Fire Engine Micromaster.
That's an action pose. They're running.
No. The vehicle photo on the left, you can see the ladder.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is too.
However, I mean, look, in that photo, like the clear focus of the photo is the very detailed shield, which does look really cool. I've backed this guy. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on him. I'm not a Victory fan by any means. Maybe I will be by the time this rolls around. Like I'm sort of like, oh, yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should get into some Victory, or get into some unseen Transformers, something that I haven't watched before. Maybe I'll even watch Beast Wars. We'll see what happens.
Oh, challenge accepted.
I don't know if I can find it. I might, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's sort of. We shouldn't compare to what come before, but we need to compare to what come before because this is the second in the HasLab release for the Transformers.
It is, Unicron, and the other one is sitting in my house too.
Yeah. But it's a lot bigger, a lot bigger, and cost a lot more money.
He is. So Unicron was $850 if you bought it from EB Games in Australia, and this guy is $380 if you buy him from EB Games. There are better deals around if you look around. TCCA has been offering a better deal to its members, so we still have some units left as well. So like, if you're interested in a better deal on Victory Saber, give us a yell. If you're not a member yet, we'll probably ask you to sign up. But it's $10 a year, and believe me, it will pay for itself out of this. It'll probably pay for several years' memberships for you. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting him. It's you mentioned the Unicron comparison earlier. Unicron required 8,000 backers in order to make it a reality, and they did extend the crowdfunding campaign in order to make that 8,000. The final tally that it actually hit. Oh, we didn't actually talk about Victory Saber's final tally. So Unicron's final tally, according to the website, is officially 10,000 plus, and according to the website for Victory Saber, his final tally is 27,300. So As far as the initial goal of 11,000 goes, they've absolutely smashed it. They've doubled it and doubled it and doubled it by half again, and they've smashed all the tier unlock rewards. Those numbers just absolutely shot up in the last 24 hours. There was a point with 1 hour to go where I think there was a point with 1 hour to go. We weren't quite sure if it was going to hit the tier 3 goal. And then the numbers just started flooding in. This is what you expect to see on a crowdfund project. People will hang back and they're not quite sure what's going to happen. And then once you hit 11,000 and it was definitely going to go into production, then the numbers started stacking on a lot more because people were a lot more certain that they were going to get something for their time and investment. Not that it really cost you anything if it didn't go ahead, but as the project shores up and looks more likely, and they add more information onto the campaign and color photos, that's when people come out of the woodwork more and they're more ready to back it. So yeah, 27,000 backers for Victory Saber. I'm really glad that it got there. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting him next year.
And really, it should. The way how popular that character is in the Asian market, post G1, I'm sure Takara sold a lot of the Masterpiece version as well. But I reckon this looks a lot better than what the Masterpiece one is.
I think that's quite true. I famously purchased the Masterpiece version at some point when we were doing a podcast live in the past, and I don't regret it at all. Although he is currently in his box because I don't really have a place to put him. But when this guy arrives, going in a somewhere on the shelf with pride of place. It's going to be good fun. What I did think it was interesting. Since you did mention Masterpiece Star Saber, during one of the initial chats about one of the reveals of this project, the Hasbro designer who's been working on this, I think his name is Evan, was on the live stream. He very specifically said that he wanted a Star Saber in his collection that wasn't the Masterpiece. So, the Masterpiece Star Saber has always been a bit of a flashpoint for controversy as to where it sits within the Masterpiece line, what it represents, and it is a very unusual piece for that line that's very concerned with G1. For this figure to just sort of like pop in out of nowhere, it was the result of a fan vote, but it also is, it's almost like a blown up G1 toy in his proportions, and this guy is, I think, a lot better in terms of articulation, some of the detail and the weaponry. I think it's high time that they took a second stab at him, and so I think this is extremely appropriate.
Yep. So what's next? What?
Well, that's kind of an interesting question because we've had two very different crowdfunding campaigns for this. Bear in mind, at the price point for this guy, this is just I don't see the outlay for this guy as being a big deal. Although notably for Australians ordering, we didn't have to pay the full price. We've just put down deposits or placed pre-orders. We will pay the full price when it comes out next year. But it's been very different in terms of the way that it's been received by the community. I think Unicron, I think we said, struggled to get to 8,000 and then sort of limped over the line to 10,000. Whereas once this made 11K a week or two ago, it was home and hosed.
Start throwing accessories at it.
Well, yeah. Well, I think once they made that 11K, I don't think they revealed the third tier until after the initial funding round was completed. So yeah. Like I said, we do have a couple more slots for Victory Sabers. So if you are interested in getting the figure now that he's fully revealed and funded and everything's coming with it, every tier unlocked makes the figure just better value because it doesn't raise the price. But yeah, if you're interested, get in touch and we can have a little bit of a chat. What else? What else is new? We're kind of going to stick with Asian Transformers tonight. I think. We have a look at Masterpiece Shooky, and so I say Masterpiece. He's actually MPG. We mentioned a few weeks ago that Takara's launching a new Masterpiece line with the branding of MPG. At the time, I was wondering we were wondering what MPG stood for, and we did see a promotional image at the time that. As it turns out, they tweeted an image and then they deleted the image, and people were like, well, why did you delete it? It turns out that there was a typo in the image, because I'm not sure if you recall us looking at this image a couple of weeks ago, or an image like this. It had MPG Gatai Giant, and that was obviously the mistake there, because the image we have now says Gatai Giant Great.
So Gatai means Gestalt?
So yeah, Gatai is basically the combiners, and so MPG is Masterpiece Gatai, or you could say Masterpiece Gestalt if you want to, and you wouldn't really be too wrong. And so this appears to be the line in which the combiners will come along. Why make them a separate line, you ask? Well, maybe there's a couple of issues of scale that comes into play here. So first of all, let's take a look at Shooky. So Shooky is the first train bot to be revealed. He's MPG-01, and he is due for release right smack bang in the middle of next year. Now, the train bots have a lot of fans amongst the Transformers community, and I think there's a lot of people who are really happy to see this character done justice in a mold with masterpiece level engineering. And looking at this photo on screen, like, I can see the ankle tilts, I can see hand articulation. We've been very impressed with what Takara's been doing with hands over the last few years, and we can see that Shouki is going to share that hand engineering that we've been getting in the line also, and just the paint, the colors, everything about this image just hits really right for me, and I'm not even that much into the trainbot combiners. So I'm really happy to have money down for this guy, but not everyone is, because his price point is quite high. Officially his price point is about 220 Australian dollars.
Yeah, okay.
He's pretty high. And let's have a look at the.
Well, he's not pretty high. We're going to get to the scale later.
That's spoilers. But you can see some of his posability there as well, and especially as we were talking about the hands, like he's got the ability to sort of point a finger, which has been very important for Transformers in 2021. They've all got to be able to point their fingers at people. But this does give you a good look at some of the articulation options. You can see how they've positioned the hand holding the rifle. They haven't done really much with the legs, but moved his head around. So there's quite a lot going on with this character. One of our viewers says he's got the ability to phone home, which is actually very true, because his finger is still slightly bent, so it is very ET wise. And so the interesting thing about this is the what's come out this week, which is someone claims to have spoken to the Takara Tomy customer service line in Japan and asked a few questions. And one of the questions that they appear to have asked is, how big is Raiden, the combined form of all of the train bots? The answer that came back was 29 centimeters. That's a foot. That's one ruler. Now, for those of us who have masterpiece figures, who have like figures like Optimus Prime, which is quite large and quite tall, 30 centimeter combiner is, well, it's not huge, and we've definitely seen larger combiners around. We did hear earlier the questions about Raiden and the bots as to their scale and the size of their combined forms, where Takara did say that they would be about the size of Combiner Wars Gestalts and Combiners, which, well, it seems like that was correct. If they are about 29 centimeters tall, people have predictably on the internet reacted to this with scorn and disdain and anger and rage. They've grabbed their pitchforks and immediately started trumpeting Zeta, who have also been showing off how very unusually for Zeta Toys to show their version of an officially revealed Transformer. I mean, that's never happened at all, has it? No. So Zeta has been showing off their train bots, which they're not as appealing in their vehicle modes. Takara is very careful with the train modes for the train bots, and The Zeta ones are not really that as interesting in their vehicle modes, but the figure overall in the combined form does actually stack up a lot taller. So here's what I put to you with this. If we look at the options that are, we've sort of seen for this figure in terms of articulation and some of his capabilities, I put it to you this way: we're probably going to get a combiner that is probably about the size of a Combiner Wars Gestalt. However, I reckon the engineering that's going to go into that figure is going to be far above. Like people hear Combiner Wars scale, and I think they get concerned that you're going to have these rickety figures that don't stand upright, and you have to move things around and fold things where they kind of shouldn't, just in order to get it to stand upright. What if none of that is the case here, and we're actually going to be given a rock solid combiner that inside that 30 centimeters of space is just perfect. All the limbs move around and things don't shake and wobble. I think that would make up for the size deficiency, don't you?
Well, for over $1,000 for the set, you'd hope it would be, but
that's also something to talk about as well, isn't it? Because at $200 plus per bot, this makes the Takara Raiden combiner far more expensive than any of the third party bots that we love to mock.
Yeah, and like we're gonna compare like most of your third party companies, whether it's the Devastators, whatever else, you're looking at $100 to $130 per figure, $500-$600. You've got it. It's a solid figure. It's 2 foot tall. It's massive, and for the most part holds together pretty well. Yes, when you say Combiner Wars size, all those combiners, they should never have been Voyager torsos. They should have been leader torsos with deluxe limbs or whatever else, just to make the figures solid. So yeah, I have no doubt the engineering on these is going to be fantastic, being masterpiece engineering, air quotes. But yeah, that's a hefty price tag for a rail racer.
Morgan Maroney does say supposedly the Moon Studios bots, which are the Zeta bots, are around $100 each, which does make them a lot more affordable.
They didn't have to pay for the engineering; they already got Takara's drawing boards. Yeah.
Well, so that is interesting though, because as he also points out, we did see renders for the Moon Studios Raiden long before we actually saw Takara's. So Takara's the ones with the advantage of seeing the other stuff that's out there here. But look, so the other thing that I think is worth noting about this is that this guy is an individual release. So you'll buy Shooky next year, and then there'll be a wait before you can buy MPG 02, and 03, and 04, and 05, and maybe 06. Depends what they do engineering wise for the torso. There's of course thought that it should be a 6-bot combiner to sort of ape the G1 train bots. So how long is it going to be between releases? We haven't really heard anything official, but I've heard 6 to 8 months as a rumor from a retailer who's offering this for sale. So potentially that means that you might be looking at another 2 to 3 years before you can actually assemble the Takara Raiden in your house.
But then what's the chance of, after those 2 or 3 years, Takara being Takara, like we've seen with all their other combiners, here's a gift set with everyone.
Yeah, who knows? That's the thing. It's a new line. All bets are off. They might put them together in a gift set for $1,000. They might put them together in a gift set for $400. People have also raised concerns, given what happens to masterpieces in their aftermarket prices. What happens if you get into these train bots in a year's time and you need to go back and get Shooky again, and you didn't get him at the time because you weren't interested? So is there going to be a constant re-release of these figures as the new ones come out and more people want to grab them, or is it really just going to be a case of, well, you missed out on the first one, so you're done?
Yeah, well, that's the gamble. That's the gamble we all take when we buy these figures. It's the amount of times I've gone out and bought a figure that I wanted, and then weeks later there's a reissue and that, and it's you're not paying the second-hand market price for it. So
it's true. As far as scale of the figure goes, we do have this photo that was in the initial press release. So in this photo, you can see Shooky with Masterpiece, Sideswipe, and Prowl. So Shooky's in the front, so he's noticeably larger, but perspective-wise, I feel like he's about the size of an Autobot car. The Autobot cars are not huge, but they're also not tiny either. And you can sort of see them fighting alongside Ultra Magnus, so I think they all sort of come up to Magnus's waist. Yeah, it gives you an idea of where he's going to fit scale wise in the line, and I kind of don't really have a problem with that. But also, the MPG line is very, very much not following the same scale as the Masterpiece line, and we know that Takara is very careful with the scale in Masterpiece, so don't expect these to sit alongside a Masterpiece line. You might want to put these on their own shelves, or away a little bit from the mainline Masterpieces.
And that's not whatever's going to come next. Whether we're going to get G1 combiners after it, you might be able to put those G1 combiners on your maybe a G1 shelf, but it again for me it just comes back again to price, where you see it standing in front of Magnus like that. Magnus is twice the size, and he was a $240, $250 figure when he came out with all that extra plastic. Yes, less engineering, okay. That price point puts me completely out of this.
The price has definitely shaken a few people, especially because the third party alternative is a lot more affordable. Which is, let's be honest, there's not many times you can actually say that about a third party release, is there?
Well, and not even looking at Transformers, you can go and buy yourself the train Megazord from Power Rangers in the mid-90s for a lot less as well. So,
yeah, that's true.
If you want a train bot, yeah.
So I bought Unicron, and as Morgan points out, $850 for Unicron, $1,200 for Raiden. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to consider. Look, as I spruiked earlier, like there are cheaper prices around than the 220 to 240 for these figures. We know this guy's not big; he's not going to be that heavy. So, like, the club does have a good price on this guy, but being a masterpiece figure, he's not exactly hard. He's not exactly hard to get. He's pretty much on release everywhere. Anywho, that's our first look. I mean, this is a brand new line. This is the MPG line. This is the first figure in this new line. It's very much standing on the shoulders of what's come before. We've had over 50 releases in the original Masterpiece line, and so this is one of the first times that we've had an offshoot of the Masterpiece line, because usually Takara just goes and folds things into that line. We've had Beast Wars added into it over the years, and I think it's important to note that they've actually gone, yeah, no, we're gonna break this off, and the scale of these figures is going to be different. But I think scale is not necessarily that important. If you're a Transformers collector, you're probably used to things not quite being in scale. So I think it's important that Takara's actually just gone, yep, no, this is a different line.
But that's that whole scale thing. Like, interesting how when we talked about this back when Primal was announced, how they're bringing the Beast Wars figures into Masterpiece when it should be a different scale, and now we're having the same conversation where we're talking about combiners should be a different scale. Maybe not smaller than what we've got previously.
Yeah, so if you were going to make these guys, I mean, bear in mind how large MP44 is, right? So if you were going to make these guys to scale, that would mean making a train that is larger than MP44, and that. You think the price is bad at the moment? Just imagine how much that's going to be.
Yeah, no, true.
And there's that shot again.
Yeah. And it just sort of, my mind just goes back to Devastator, how that was going to be a masterpiece, Devastator, and they tweaked some things and brought the cost down to make it the Titan's Return, or the Titan figure.
There were plenty of rumors that Devastator was originally intended to be a masterpiece. Whether or not that's true or not, we'll find out. Comment came in saying it appears to me that it's more about the robot modes being in scale than their vehicle modes. I think that's quite true. I think the robots, at least for Shooky, the robots don't look too out of place with other masterpiece Autobots. But that combined mode, if it really is 30 centimeters, they're gonna struggle a little bit. But yeah, the robot modes look pretty much in scale. You're right.
Yep. But that like going back before to Star Saber too, like that Star Saber bot should ideally be a bit bigger. Because I could.
So Star Saber is a Commander class figure, which I take to mean he's about Jetfire sized, but Commander class can mean different things in different years.
Yeah, so it might be a little bit smaller than what the Masterpiece one was originally, but it's so blocky, like so much more filled out than what that Masterpiece one was, just going off the photos.
Yeah. Morgan also brings up an important point about the accuracy of the trains for licensing. So Takara are sticklers for their train licenses, especially with these guys. These guys are very well regarded and revered in the fandom, and so the trains are very accurate from what we've seen, and I don't really know too much about the actual trains that they're all modelled on, but I'm sure that will come out more over time. You can see see a lot of detail in the panels and doors and windows on Shooky at the moment.
And I should point out too that us in the Western Southern world are talking about price and everything. This the Asian market, they're still Prime One Studios, and that we haven't reported on any because I haven't been on to fight to report on them. But Prime One Studios and all those statue builders are still building statues for Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, of movie.
You know what? I'm going to give you a 30-second segue and say that I did see a figure. I think it was Prime One Studios or someone launched new statues this week. There were repaints of their existing statues. They're $1,300 each for Prime and Megatron.
Yep, and they're selling. People keep buying.
Well, as long as people keep buying them, they'll keep making them. So yeah. Someone's got a house with a really tacky Transformers collection in it.
I wonder if they're all going to North Korea.
Maybe North Korea is going to use them as literally as ballistic missiles.
They think they're getting some sort of special material.
No, but like they'll kill someone when they land on them. It'll be all right. It's a giant solid piece of metal. Who knows?
Definitely. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's MPG. It's a new line. It's coming next year, and we'll see where we end up with it. We also have a look. We spent a little bit of time in our last episode talking about little tiny versions and representations of Transformers. So I think it's appropriate that we bring up these guys. So these are the Diamond Selects mini mates. So we've got Series 1 photos here. So we've got Shockwave, Starscream, Optimus Prime with black cab windows. I think everyone will note. And he also comes with his axe as an attachment. And Bumblebee. And Bumblebee seems to come with an alternate face that could be Goldbug as well.
Oh yeah, yep.
So you can swap that in around there. A lot of the figures seem to have sort of almost Lego-esque parts for them as well. They're pretty cute. They're pretty nice. So there's these guys as the Series 1 bots, and then this week they showed Wave 2. Wave 2 is on display, so we've got Soundwave, Megatron, Grimlock, and Blaster, and a little mini version of Blaster in his tape deck. I don't know why Soundwave doesn't get that treatment as well. Like, never know. Maybe there'll be a little mini Soundwave as well, but that does look really cool. Except I don't really like the face design, but that's fine.
He's got no legs. He's got no knees.
Yeah, I know. There's definitely no knees at this scale, but yeah, they're cute little things. Good lord, Megatron looked angry.
Buckethead.
I mean, that's the only thing Megatron reliably does is look angry. And oh, good, my computer has decided that now is a good time to install an Outlook update. So that's great. Thanks a lot.
Oh, fantastic!
So we can see the packaging for these guys. I think we've seen the packaging for these guys before, but it's nice to sort of get a bit of a look at them up close. So yeah, Minimates are there. There's also been a big leak that's happened this year, and I say big because it's the biggest of leaks, which is Titan class for 2022. So we're looking at a photo on screen that I believe is from a brand presentation that was made to dealers and retailers around the world this week. In super secret privacy, perhaps you would expect from Hasbro, and being a presentation during the middle of a pandemic, it was live streamed, and they appear to have live streamed it in such a way that there's a watermark over the image of the user's email address. So if you are csutton2@familydollar.com, I think Hasbro's lawyers want to have a word to you. You could probably expect that call anytime soon. It's also worth noting, if we zoom in on this, we get a bit of an idea about what this presentation was actually about, because in the background of this picture of Metroplex, sorry, I'm going to zoom this up a little bit more. We see Growth Channel F22 previews. So Growth Channel is must be the sort of the event, because it's the preview event that this person attended. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting to sort of know what Hasbro is doing for dealers in the background. It's also notable that this is also our first look at the Transformers Legacy logo in the top left of the screen, and holy crap, it looks like a 1980s rock band. Not rock band. I'm going to say metal band, right? Like it, yeah. It looks like it's about to sort of burst into your house and kick down a door and take your daughter away or something. I don't know.
It's the new Marvel 4 logo, Love and Thunder.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah, it is very much in that vein. Maybe it indicates the brand is going to be a little bit more fun. Who knows? So yeah, this is definitely the first time we've seen that Legacy brand in play. Now, I've also been given other information from this preview that occurred, and this information came up from a Malaysian Transformers subreddit group, which is that Shattered Glass is going to be coming back. The Shattered Glass range has done really well in 2021. They're very happy with it, and there's going to be more Shattered Glass bots next year. Now, we've heard from in hush rumors from this Reddit group, Ultra Magnus, Wheeljack, and Blaster. Now, the question of whether or not there's a War for Cybertron Blaster has been dogging people for quite a while, and so it seems like Blaster's sort of been kicked out of Kingdom and going into Legacy, and we're also hearing that there might be a Shattered Glass Soundwave as well, but it's not clear if that was actually discussed at the time. We're also hearing Gen Selects is going to have a red version of the Hoist mold. We're also hearing a blue version as well. Those are particularly nice colours for Diaclone fans and some of the fans of some of the more obscure repaints. And we're also hearing that there's going to be a black Ironhide. We already have the Decius drone from Netflix, but a lot of people have spent time removing all the battle damage from that figure. That it'll be nice to have just a plain black one. We've also heard that the blue streak or silver streak figure that was rumoured has gone into Legacy, and we're also hearing that a Beast Wars Laserbeak is going to be coming out in the Legacy line, and it seems like that could actually be a repaint of Airraiser, or maybe more in common with Pterosaur, which we saw revealed a couple of weeks ago in the Golden Disc lines. We're also very early hearing that there's going to be a 2022 SDCC exclusive Origin Origin of the Legacy Alpha Trion and Orion Packs 2-pack. So it's very early to get to hear about these things coming for SDCC. The Covert Agent Ravage for this year was only leaked about a month or so before it. However, let's get back to what's on screen in front of us. So we've had a question for a long time over what's going to happen to the Titan scale after the arc was done. It seemed like with the arc they'd sort of run out of go-to characters. Run out of go-to characters for Titans because the arc is a new character. But it seems like we're going to be expecting a Titan-class Cybertron Metroplex next year. Now, whether or not that's a retool of the existing Metroplex molds, which is getting a bit long in the tooth, he's from 2013 now, or if we can expect to see a brand new Titan-class mold for Cybertron Metroplex, which could well be used for a normal Metroplex later, or maybe not, because Cybertron Metroplex is quite different. It's an interesting possibility. Now, I'm going to zoom in again on the figure here, because there's also some question over whether or not we're looking at a leaked image of the new Titan, or if this is just the original Cybertron Metroplex figure, sort of repurposed and photoshopped a little bit. Very famously, Cybertron Metroplex has the crawling down on all fours mode for transformation, and that's also pictured here. So whether or not they're just going to be super accurate to that with the Titan, or if they're going to put more engineering into it, we will see.
It's hard with the orange lettering because I know the original one did have that massive axe chainsaw blade thing, but it was a grey handle. Again, scale. We've got the same problem with scale. Here now they're upsizing a figure that was a Voyager or a Leader back in the day, and now they're going to make it a Titan.
Yeah, I feel like that's warranted by the name Metroplex at least. Like it's almost an admission that we should have made Metroplex bigger back in the day.
Well, that's a lot of fans that watched the Unicron trilogy and seen that Metroplex was just a little bot.
Yeah,
you could do a Titan Jetfire or Skyfire if they're going to upscale and start bringing some of those other big bots in, even though he's already been done. But this is it. This is a strange one.
And look, I think it's probably not to everyone's taste. But then a lot of figures in the Unicron trilogy are not to everyone's taste. So it's not too bad. Also noting there's an FOP custom illustration. Not entirely sure what that is, but he does come with a large axe and bucket scoop accessory. There's robot mode, workbot mode, and excavator mode for $190. And that is the legacy leak. We've gone through a little bit more with the legacy leak than we've heard from a lot of other news outlets. But there's definitely some interesting things in there.
Mm.
And Jacob says he won't be replacing his Metroplex. Sorry, you know what? That's fine, mate. I don't think it's actually designed to be a replacement for that Metroplex.
Well, that's the thing too. We could have got a more G1 Metroplex in the Titan class than what we did back then, because they were still tying in with the War for Cybertron games, where we sort of moved away from that and what the current media was.
It's true, yeah. Yeah, so the original Titan Metroplex was very much tied into the For the Cybertron games. Mm. But even with that though, he didn't look. He looked more like a G1 figure than he did in his on-screen representation in the game.
Yeah, and it's just the evolution of that scale as we've been moving through. They've been trying to tie it into media. The arc recently going back to maybe Predaking's an odd one out where there was no media for him. Fort Max, all the other ones, Omega Supreme, we all had them in the recent cartoons, Netflix or Machinima. So
yeah, it's true. I'm not sure that we got Devastator in the Machinima series as well. But yeah.
Well, we had Devastation, so he was around there.
That's true. It was around that time.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder what's coming Where are we getting? We've talked before that Unicron trilogy and the original RRD are some really untapped previous stuff that they haven't really gone back to. And those people that grew up on it are now getting old enough to have the disposable incomes. We're seeing it now. Beast Wars that's coming up. Are we going to get this?
I mean, we also know that Unicron trilogy figures are going to figure into the Legacy line as well.
Yeah. So we've seen what was the jet you got? I think it was a third party one, wasn't it? I don't remember.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it wasn't a Cybertron in Starscream or something. I can't remember.
I think he's up here somewhere. There's the Make Toys Cybertron Starscream, Howling Meteor.
Yeah. So there's third parties touched it briefly, but
yeah. I think actually if we see Hasbro go more definitively into Unicron trilogy territory, I think we might even see more third parties go there as well.
Yeah. Oh, so Predaking was in Power of the Primes. All right. Don't worry about it.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I'll just there's a typo in it, but it says Predaking appeared in the Power of the Primes Machinima series. It's very true, Rob. It says a lot that we forgot this. It says a lot about the Machinima series that we forgot what happened in it.
I'm not going to lie, I haven't gone back and watched any of it.
I have not watched it since the first time I watched it through, and I think that was mainly so that I could talk about it on the podcast. Yay.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Final thought on Cybertron Metroplex is the on-street date of 1st of the 8th, 8/01/2022. That's it's American, so 1st of August 2022. So very much the back half of next year. So yeah, and also it was on third parties and Unicron trilogy fans hobbies doing some Unicron trilogy stuff. So yeah. That is about it for news. Oh wait. There was meant to be a fight.
Movies.
There's meant to be a fight for this one, so we thought we'd just check in with some of the photos that we're getting from Peru, where they are currently filming some scenes for Transformers: Rise of the Beasts in Cusco, and it seems like there's a bit of a spectacle that goes on the days where there's filming. So you get a little bit of a convoy of the vehicles for the Transformers that are featuring in the movie going through the town. So this has given us a really good look at some of the vehicle forms of the Transformers that are in the movie, and also sort of raised a few questions such as who is this orange truck? Do we know? I'm not sure who this red truck is either. That's there. And yeah, whether or not that's actually, I suspect this one might actually just be a money transport vehicle that got caught up in the middle of the convoy, but can't really tell.
Oh my God, Megatron's back.
Maybe he is. Who knows? Maybe he's escaped from under the ice. The really interesting one is the giant truck that looks like he's out of Mad Max Fury Road that we know to be Scourge. And if you look at this, he even pollutes while he's going through the city. Like, look at that. I mean, that just looks mean. That bot looks super mean. So yeah, that's going to definitely be interesting to see that. The premise of the movie is that there's Terracons. So we're seeing Autobots and Terracons going through the streets of Cusco at the moment. I like the fact, if you look at this, they've actually set this up as a bit of a convoy, a bit of a parade. Like, there's a fence keeping people back. So like everyone in the town is having a good time looking at these vehicles going past. And they've set up some nice photo shoots of them all, and we're getting some nice high quality photos out from the press and the media. So yeah, having a bit of a good time.
And it's great to see. Just like, we're going to see the toys start coming out before the movie. We're going to know what vehicles are in the movie. This isn't shown in the robot mode. There's no plot. There's nothing. Just here's Prime, Bumblebee. We've seen other videos of other cars driving around. There's going to be some grumbles at what some of these vehicles are being called. Scourge being a count of the Prime and not a sweep. possibly Wheeljack being a Volkswagen Combi and not something else, but we'll look at that next year when the film comes out. But just down there in Cusco, doing filming, all the stunts and everything else with the vehicles on site. All the stunt drivers are waving at people as they're taking photos in the street going to and from the warehouse where they're being kept. Michael Bay's been down there to give the director a pep talk, I'm guessing. Oh, there's Wheeljack there in the middle. And you've talked about Mirage not being...
Yeah, so we know that the car over on the left here that looks like it should be Jazz is Mirage.
Yes, that's
and they don't want to step on what's been established in the movies that's gone before, even while they don't necessarily want to be a sequel or a prequel to it. But that's fine. Just let them have it. It's fine.
Yeah, we got an RC there. We've got a Nightbird, so we're getting Nightbird in the film as well, even though it's a Skyline and not just a robot that doesn't transform. So, yeah.
There's the money van again.
Yep. Well, craft services is someone... Yeah, Rob said before.
Yes.
But just sort of go look at what we're getting now. Go back to the last night where I think one of the members of the group was over in London when they were filming Hot Rod and a couple of the cars racing down that street. And that was it. You've seen the cars fly past. All the street was barricaded. And
everything else that happened in the last night could have just happened on a production lot in America. Like that's all they needed to do, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
I mean, they didn't even really need to race cars down the street in London. They could have just done that with CGI, but whatever.
Yeah, Fast and Furious.
Anyway, that's about it. That's it for news. We've had a bit of a goggle and a bit of a gawk at the vehicles for Rise of the Beasts. But there's no spoilers in there, but. Yeah, it's a new Transformers movie that's coming out, and they're not making any secret of the fact that they're filming it as well. So, like, I really like that. There's, we're not going over like script leaks and stuff, but yeah, like they're just like, yep, we're shooting a Transformers movie. Stuff's going to happen. Presumably things will blow up. Like, just be ready.
Yep. And hopefully this has given ILM or whoever's doing the CG plenty of time to. Get all that stuff down packed.
I'm not sure that it is ILM doing it in this case. I'm pretty sure they've been engaging other effects houses for a while now.
Yeah. No, I just threw them out, but yeah, it would be someone else.
Yeah. All right, that is it for news. I'm gonna kick the news screen share out and return us to our familiar two up pose here.
Hello there.
And with news of the week or weeks over and done with, it is time to turn our attention to new acquisitions, which is the segment of the show where we go through what new Transformers have arrived in our collections in the last little while. Brad, it's been a few weeks since we had you on. I know you got one very large orange boy, and it's not me because I'm wearing orange tonight. What have you got? What's new in your collection?
Yes, thanks to the Jason parcel service, the Ark is now in my possession. Unfortunately, it's a Christmas gift, so it's going to stay.
That's right, I forgot about that.
So I'll go to the other orange guy, and that's this one here. You guys have talked about this.
Huffer. Yeah, very happy with him.
Yep. They're growing. Great little figure. $29. Yeah, I went into a Kmart, found him, I thought, nothing else there was new that I wanted to get, so I'll get him. Went to the next Kmart, and they had the Sparkler Seeker in there, and I thought, oh, damn it, I should have spent my money on that. But he's a great little figure, so he'll be good in the collection. Up there somewhere. Yeah. So
I've had a couple of things arrive today. In fact, actually, I wouldn't have had. I wouldn't have had acquisitions if it wasn't for the boxes of stuff that have turned up today. I'm just gonna
last minute postage delivery.
Yeah. Well, couriers have been very slow, but now that we're out of lockdown, things are returning to normal. I'm just gonna put this guy up here at the side of the screen there, and that is the toy coloured Kingdom Galvatron. So it's the Gen Selects. Gen Selects Galvatron. It's the first time we've talked about Kingdom Galvatron a lot this year. But this is my first time. This is the first time actually. This is the first time actually handling this mold in person, and it's so nice. He's got a really nice amount of heft to him. You can, as you can see, you can pose him with the cannon. And I'll tell you what I noticed when I pulled him out of the box. If you pull his arm down, I don't know if I can show this very well on here. If you pull his arm down, he's even got a secret rub sign.
Oh,
I know, it's such a nice little throwback to G1. And in fact, I believe also in a throwback to G1, if I rub that, hey, wait, actually, there you go. It actually does work. There we go. I tried that earlier and absolutely nothing happened. There we go. If I put it in front, I tried it earlier and absolutely nothing happened. And I was going to say that's completely consistent with the G1 rub signs, but no, it's made a liar out of me. The rub sign does actually work. Very, very cool. Really, really like it. And we've spoken about this a little bit in the past. Like, I have a better connection, I think, to the Transformers comics from the 80s, because I used to live for the weekly UK Marvel comic coming out at my local newsagent. I've got more of a connection to the Transformers comics and presentations, and while this guy is ostensibly a toy color Galvatron, he's also a comic colored Galvatron. This is the Galvatron that I know from the 80s, right? The version that's on screen in the cartoons and stuff. Like, I'm aware of that Galvatron, but this is my Galvatron. So I'm absolutely stoked to finally have this release of him in these colors, and I'm even happier to report that for once Hasbro did not fuck up the shoulders on the Galvatron.
No, it looks fantastic.
So yeah. What's that you say? Is there another figure that I acquired today? Is that maybe there's two figures? If you were to say 1 and 2, would you be counting? Would you need the count to help you? One. But as you can see, the Dracula crossover, Draculus, is in the house. As you can see, I haven't freed him from his coffin yet. I'm not sure if I'm gonna, but also you can see clearly the best thing about this figure is the cape that's packed in here, and like just touching that, it's fabric. It's fabric in a Transformers box. I don't know what's going on. It's really weird. It feels really great to touch. The other thing that's absolutely fantastic about this is that Hasbro made a big thing about saying that they've based the box on a VHS tape, but they didn't really say how. Well, there you go. It's the Universal Monsters. It's like an oversized, squished up VHS tape, and like a lot of VHS tapes from the 80s, it's got this little tab. Down here, where's my finger? There. It's got this little tab that you can. Oh, sorry, it's on this side. There's a little tab that you can use to grab and pull the tape out. And look at that. He's got the Draculus video cassette. It's much more obvious from this side, but like let's be honest, all the good stuff's happening here as well. Don't be distraught. He is just a repaint of Titan's Return Mind Wipe. He's about $60. I think you can get him from Amazon at the moment for $64 shipped if you have Amazon Prime. Very, very well worth it. Like there's a lot of very collector oriented stuff happening here. I'm well known for opening bots and ripping everything out and then throwing the box away. This box is not getting thrown away. I'm going to very carefully free Draculus from this box because, like any true VHS cassette, if you pull it out from the wrong way, you can't actually take this part out of the box.
Need to bring up Morgan's comment there because I'd noticed it too. The tab is still present on the back of the spine.
Make sure you break the tab so no one tapes over it. Yes.
Yeah. No.
That's
thank
you, Morgan. That joke is going out on Twitter later tonight.
Yeah. There wouldn't be too many to still remember that. Yeah.
Oh my god! That is fantastic. So a couple of acquisitions there. Draculus and goodness me, that toy colored Galvatron is just looks amazing there. So yeah, very, very, very happy with him.
Do you have a spot on the wall for it?
I'll make some room somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll put my hand into the shelf and then I'll just rotate it and everything will move aside. I do need to consider how I display some of the bots behind me because the shelves are getting pretty full. We'll see what happens. That is it for the podcast. We've run just a little bit over an hour, but I think hopefully that's all right. I say that knowing that the person who needs to edit it is sitting in the other window with me, but yeah. Rob has also just pointed out. I think you may have sold me on the repainted Galvatron. Rob, call me. We'll talk later. That is it. As we did mention earlier that TCCA is heading back to Oz Comic Con in Sydney in December. Really looking forward to that. We hope that if you are in the Sydney area, you will come and say hello. There should be a few of us on the stand and some familiar faces if you've seen us before. That is it for the podcast. So thank you for listening. If you're watching along with the live record, thank you for checking us out. Find out more about these stories. You'll find links to them all and more in the show notes. You can get in touch with us, and please do get in touch. We love listener feedback at transformersweekly.podbean.com. You can find us on the Australian Transformers Weekly Facebook page, and you can also find Brad and I personally in the Transformers Collectors Club Australia group on Facebook. If you're not already subscribed and you've been listening to this podcast and you've gotten right to the end of it, thank you very much. You can find the link in your podcatcher of choice, or you can find an RSS feed on the website and in the show notes. We are a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia, a registered club in Victoria run by volunteers donating their time, effort, energy, money, and Friday nights like this one to make life and collecting in Australia hopefully a little bit better for everyone. Our goal is to connect Transformers fans around the country, and we do it by engaging the collecting community and staying up really late on Friday nights recording podcasts. You can find out more information about the benefits of TCCA membership, including some cheap robots, and how to show your support for what we do at transformerscca.com. Going off world a little bit, you can find me on Twitter at JM77, and you can also find Brad's Budget Adventure Show on your YouTube, and the link to that is in the show notes as well. So it's goodbye. It's goodbye from me. We'll see you again in maybe a week, maybe a couple of weeks, depending on how much news breaks. And yeah, do we need to say any final words, any parting thoughts, Brad?
Thanks everyone in the chat. It was good to see the comments, and even though we're here talking about news, it's good to see and getting feedback from you guys as well. So.
Yeah, I love having the live comments as we record the podcast. It's really nice. It's really great to know that people are actually watching and spending their Friday nights with us in many ways. And it's lovely to get some feedback from people to what we're saying and whether or not our thoughts and feel opinions are resonating with people. So thanks very much.
We see there we can't report on or comment on it all, but some of you guys have been commenting and talking amongst yourselves in there while we've been recording too, so
it's great.
Yeah,
that's what community is all about. So thank you, everyone. And
thanks, Morgan.
Yes, there we go.
Not quite.
There we go. Yeah, and maybe we'll see. All right, that is it. Thank you very much, everyone, and we will return in the fullness of time with the next episode. Goodbye.
Until next time.